Greetings, friends. It's me, Wayman, and this is a video going out to Sarahan06. And yes, I was just having a little fun with the camera angle and all that, and going a little bit of tit for tat arm wrestling. The reason why I'm agnostic, it's not because I don't have balls. I could care less about labels, and I'm pretty comfortable being who I am, and I love visiting everybody without dropping into a sheep pen, as I said before, where my peers and I have social pressure to think one way or the other, and if I suddenly would like to read biblical literature, I don't get nailed over the head by other atheists who think maybe I should just throw it all out. So I guess what I'd like to explain is ideas of Eric Newman, Carl Jung, and Joseph Campbell, and all those great people who really understood the idea of abstract expressionism, anthropology, the metaphor, and how it all works, and cultural identity, and the consciousness, the subconscious, and how do we interpret that. And I'm afraid that all that package gets thrown out, and because we had the hammer and we accidentally nailed our finger with it, and we go off crying, we throw away the hammer and throw a fit, rather than figuring out how to use the tool. Yes, some ideologies are horrible, mostly in monotheism. Polytheistic belief systems sometimes adapt a little bit better to other people of the world. But when you have dominion theologies and all that, manifest destiny, yes, it's horrible. We've seen that happen against Native American cultures, and even the Jews themselves when they were tried to be assimilated into the Assyrian and Babylonian Empire. But don't ever say that nobody ever questioned the actions of the divine beings. Odysseus did in the Odyssey, and also in Judaism, Abraham did when he was trying to save the city of Sodom and Gomorrah, when he had that conversation about destroying the just and the unjust. He questioned God about it. He said, how can you do that? Also, questions when Job got pissed off. There's some really great philosophical questions being asked of the divine, and God just blew him off, and he didn't answer the question. Job is not an answer to suffering. And Isaiah, Jeremiah. So I think in the literature, it's different. So coming out of the ancient Near East and trying to apply it today, there are a lot of horrible laws. You look at law codes from the Hittites, that's all slice and dice. You look at certain law codes from Hammurabi, that's a little bit unfair. I mean, if a house falls in and you happen to be a good architect, but you had bad materials, you get your head cut off. So, was that really followed through? Probably not, because some of your good architects, might have gotten killed. So, to take something that was a ideology for conquering and all that from the ancient Near East and applying it to today's culture, yes, it's not very healthy to do that. And I would hope that Islam would understand that in some ways. But I think that the metaphor needs to transform, and people who are unable to transform the metaphor and keep it static and literal and to the actual reading are mistaken for what the tool can actually be used for. So yeah, maybe the virgin birth, it's messed up. Yeah, it couldn't happen, but it was in competition to the Roman imperial cult. The early Christians had to top it. They had to top the virgin birth of Caesar, and that's one way they did it, as a punch in the face to the imperial cult of the Romans. So here you have anti-assimilation texts going tit for tat against the Roman mythology. And Christian mythology, especially in the text of Luke, is developed that way. So if you take the time to actually look at the literature rather than just crossing it all off, and rather than just saying it's useless just because some wackos follow it one way rather than another, I believe is wrong. And So I say to my kid, I'm not going to tell you anything. You go for it yourself. And I tell him about metaphors, mythology, have him read the Iliad, the Odyssey, and all that stuff. Tell him it's metaphors. It's not really real, but you can use some of the lessons. You will be abandoned, like Hector at the walls of Troy. You will be abandoned, like Turnus. Sometimes you either have to fight for yourself with nobody else around you, or you will have to accept your fate. So, I guess those lessons, a lot of them that are in the literature, will be lost. And for all the conquering and slicing and dicing that Israel did, the same happened to them when they were conquered by the Babylonian. And here, pre-Babylonian literature was all slice and dice. All of a sudden, they're coming back. They're talking about justice and mercy. So, big change there. And if you know the literature and how to use it as a tool, it can be very beneficial. And that's what I don't want to lose. I am not giving up the metaphor. I appreciate anthropology, literature, and world religion too much. But when it gets to be a problem, then yes, there are extremists. There are some really bad ideologies out there. However, my kid should be able to go to school without the social pressure and think the way he wants to about things without the social pressure of him coming home and saying, Dad, my atheist friends are pressuring me to think this way about it, and I'm throwing the whole thing out. So, right now, it's not persecution. It's not. It didn't reach that point yet. But in the Dawkins video, in the answer questions section on the God delusion, when those guys came up and asked those really bad questions from Liberty University, see how the crowd responded. And imagine how those people felt. Maybe we all think they're wrong, and maybe they are, but is that a way to treat people? And at one point, atheists were marginalized, and they should remember where they come from, and remember how they felt when they were marginalized. And to do the same thing, and to become the same thing, when you get in power, just like the Christians did, once they're persecuted by the Roman Empire, then when they took control, they were slicing and dicing each other up, is not the way to go about it, because models in history say that it's very destructive. So hopefully I hit the top of that maybe, and thanks for giving me a reply back, and it was loads of fun, and if you want to make another video, go ahead. If not, don't worry about it. But I'm okay being agnostic. I don't mind being a fence sitter as long as I don't fall into a sheep pen. So take care, friends, and remember, if everybody's thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking.